Welcome to today's episode of The Storyteller. Today I have something very interesting to talk to you guys about. Today I'll be talking about my little town in the southeastern part of Nigeria. There's something about this town, or this village if I should say. It's very little, it's very small, but I've heard people say it's a small village with mighty people. I've heard them say that the people there are quite gruesome, should I say gruesome? And the people there are quite strong-hearted and strong-willed, like they do great things in a difficult way or in a mean way, if I should say. My village is called Amokwa. Growing up, I've heard tales about this little town, about the stream, about the forest, about how during the Civil War, the people hid under rocks. Like the rocks were able to shield the people from certain bombs or certain gunshots from the opposing forces. I've also heard tales of how some women were raped and how some of the opposing forces scattered and destroyed things and carted away things from the village. All these tales I got from my grandma. Now let's go to the stream. Amokwa has a stream that they call Ohege. From the tale that I heard, this stream was situated in a place where people lived. It was a little stream that it was very clean and was situated in a place where people lived, and people usually go there to fetch clean waters for their drinking water, for their cooking water and stuff like that. So people actually kept it clean until it came to a point where some people began to go to Ohege to wash clothes, wash plates. Because it's so near to their house, they began to take their dirty clothes there, their dirty plates there, to wash clothes and wash plates and stuffs. And then according to the story I heard, a point came in time where one of the chief priests came and warned the people that the stream is not happy, that they are washing their dirty clothes and dirty pots near its bank, that they should desist from doing it or the stream is going to move elsewhere. This is a very tricky thing, but in Africa here, in Nigeria here, there's certain technological things you hear that, will I say spiritual technology, that you hear that you kind of wonder, is this real? But according to my grandma, this was real. It wasn't just a night tale story or stuff. So one day these people refused to adhere to the chief priest. One day in the middle of the night, my grandma said they were all sleeping, and the next thing they heard growing sounds like an earthquake. The ground was shaking, it was vibrating, and the sound was so loud. And then suddenly they began to hear the flowing, rushing, gushing water of a flowing stream. Like it was so loud and so strong. The intensity was quite heavy. But no one could actually come out to find out what was happening. It was in the middle of the night. So they waited till in the morning. In the morning, when they woke up, people went to the stream to get water, and they found out the stream was no longer there. It was a shock to them. Like the whole place was dried up. They began to ask questions and seek answers, and they went back to their chief priest, who said that the stream moved somewhere else. that it said it could not contain the dirtiness that was being done, the dirty things that was being done. So he had to move to somewhere else. So they began to find where the stream moved to. They began to look for the stream. And then they found that the stream moved to a rocky hill. Like it went below under a rocky hill and situated there. So it moved to a place that people will find it hard to actually take their dirty clothes and dirty dishes to go and wash. Because before you get to the place where the stream is situated, you have to climb the hills. You have to climb slopey hills to get down to where it is. I grew up seeing this stream in that particular down rock part, and the path to that stream is quite scary. Like where you have two growing trees and shrubs close together, like you're trying to walk and something that looks like a forest is by your side, another one by your side, and you're afraid that something is going to pop out from anywhere and kind of hurt you. And then this place that this stream went to now had green snakes all around. They said these snakes don't bite. Like, they actually said it doesn't bite you when you come to the stream. If you don't look for it's trouble, and you can't kill the snake. Lot of rules and tradition, yeah? So this is the story about the stream in my village. And then the story about the forest. There is also a forest in the same village. This forest is quite close to where people live, but it's not that close, but a bit close. At least sometimes people go there because in most African villages, they don't have the modern toilet facilities that the townspeople have. So most times what they use is they go to the bush and do their thing and they're off. So this forest is quite close to where some people go to the bush and do their thing and they're off. But when you're going there, some people actually do not really enter into the forest to do their thing, because this forest looks like it's not scary, but when you get inside, we found out that the energy there is one that is kind of when you have how do I put it? You feel as if someone is watching your back, but no one is actually watching you. But when you enter there, it feels as if the eyes of the trees are all looking at you. Like you feel attacked. No one is attacking you, but you feel attacked. It's quite the first time I entered that forest, it was quite a scary feeling, and I really wanted to rush out, but I didn't want people with me to think that this girl is so scared, because in my mind I wanted to just like run out of the place. But it's quite a beauty. Like, it's quite a beauty. It's more like a place where people can, if in a modern world, people can actually go there, relax, go for picnics and stuff. But this is Africa, and you don't go to picnics when they tell you that this is a forest. You don't go to picnics in a forest. Things happen there. And as they said, evil spirits live there, good spirits live there, bad spirits live there, depending on the one you encounter. And I remember a tale. One night I went to the village and they were having this night tale, moonlight tales. And after the moonlight tales, the singing and the dancing, there is this fruit, udara, that usually falls in the night because of the windy breeze that blow at night. So it falls, and people usually go sometimes at night to pick it up. So we were actually going, a group of little children with some elderly people. We are going to pick these fruits up in the village, at the village square, and just close to where we would approach the village square, we saw some white looking thing, like we don't really know what it is, but we saw something white looking and scary, and everyone ran on their feet. Everyone began to run. No one really dared to go forward to find out what the white looking thing was, because in our mind we all thought, oh, we have seen a spirit, and we all ran. So my village is quite it's a very small village, but the history and the stories behind that village is intriguing, and it intrigues me, the beliefs that they have. In the south, it's not only in my village, but in the southeastern part of Nigeria, they have a lot of traditional beliefs that they really adhere to, and my village is not an exception. They have these traditional beliefs that everything around them speaks. The tree speaks, the stream speaks, the wind speaks. Everything around them speaks. Like, they have this belief that nature speaks, and when nature doesn't like what the people there are doing, it's going to retaliate. Like, in that forest, no one is permitted to go there to farm or to build a house, because they believe that the forest does not like it, and they believe that whatever you put there might not grow. It's their belief. I don't know why, but it's their belief. And there's now this kind of energy you feel when you go to such places. When you go to that forest, there's a calm. Do is scary, but there's a calmness. Like, the atmosphere there is quite different from what you feel when you go out to where the people live. I don't know if because it's not inhabited by people, the coolness and everything. The same thing you feel when you go to the stream. I particularly hate going to that stream. It's so scary going to that stream. I'm afraid of the snakes. I'm afraid of the whole story about it and stuff like that. And when you go there, the sound of the birds, the coolness of the place, it's as if you can actually speak to whatever is there. It's as if that stream itself is alive. And it's actually a unique thing that I really want to explore, like a kind of find out what's really there. Not like in the traditional kind of way. And then the last story I wanted to tell is the story about the Civil War. Like, I don't really have much detailed stories, but I had one in particular. My grandma told me about her friend and how she was raped by the opposing forces, and how she got pregnant. But there was nothing they could do. And in their time, there was nothing like abortion. Her husband was aware of the fact, and the man couldn't do anything while his wife was being raped. I mean, they were all running and scampering to safety, and this woman was caught and she was raped, and before she knew it, she found out she was pregnant, and they couldn't do anything. So what the people then, the poor people in the community then, because they were not that much, what they did is they all agreed to keep it a secret. So people actually thought it was her husband that actually was responsible for the pregnancy, and the children grew to know that that village was theirs. Yeah, they don't really know anything about the rape and stuff, but the only thing is that you see some likely differences between the ones that was born from the other ethnic group and the one that was born from the husband. So there was a really differentiating factor. But that tale was the one that stuck to me because it was I can't imagine what that woman would feel at that point. I grew up knowing this woman to be a really strong and quiet person. Like, she doesn't make trouble, she doesn't talk, like she's just nice, she's just there, always attending to her children. She doesn't have time for gossips. She's just focused on her family, trying to give them a better life. So sometimes I wonder, what did she feel at that point? I can't imagine it because I've never been there, and I can't imagine the trauma she would have felt at that age where there were not much people that would talk to them. Because at that age, there was nothing like women's rights, really, seriously. They didn't know anything about women's rights in the village at that point. Like, things happened according to tradition, and the tradition most times didn't favor women. I mean, my grandma told me when she was shown who her husband was, she didn't even have breast on her chest. She was still a very tender young woman. That's a tale for another day. So these stories I'm telling about my village is because Africa is beautiful. Villages, I know most times in Nigeria, most people don't even visit their village because they fear some witches will attack them, some whatever thing would stop their growth and whatever. It depends on what you believe. It's good sometimes for us to go to our roots and find out the stories behind that place. Like, find out about our roots. How did they come? Like, how did they evolve? What are the things that happened there? What are the unique stories about them? It's really important that we learn about our village, we learn about our people, especially in Nigeria, especially people in the East. I really encourage us to learn more about our history. It's important. Igbo Amaka, if you learn about your history, if you learn about your village, it will interest you. Like, it will make you understand where you're from. It will make you understand why you act the way you are doing. Because most times the things we do are not only those things we adapt from the environment we are in. It can also come from things that have been inbuilt in us even before we are born. We hear of ancestors' things and stuff like that. I don't really know, but somehow those things are real to them that believe it. It's just like if you believe that when you go to your village some witches will attack you. It's real to you because you believe it. And what you believe actually works for you. But in this regard, it's actually good to learn about your roots, learn about your culture, and also learn about other people's culture. So I would really like you under the comment section to tell me about your own culture, about your village, a little story about your village from wherever you're talking from. I really want to know a little story about your village, something really interesting and peculiar. Thank you for listening to today's episode. See you next week and have a great day.